So we're entering a world in which we really can take a data-driven approach to personalized therapy, diagnostics, and monitoring of Alzheimer's. Yes, it is an inflection point for the field.
Welcome to Startup Health TV, where we celebrate the entrepreneurs and the innovators who are transforming health. I'm Logan Plaster, here with Ken Mariash, the CEO of Sinaptica Therapeutics. Ken, great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
We talked in, July in Philadelphia at AAIC. You had some awesome things on the horizon, which we'll talk about. But first, let's just level set. What is Sinaptica? What have you built?
Yeah, it's a non-drug neuromodulation therapy for Alzheimer's. It's a weekly therapy that involves coming to a doctor's office and getting brain stimulation that's really personalized to your brain, which induces neuroplasticity throughout the brain, causes the strengthening of the key networks that drive human memory. Put in really simple terms, it's a weekly therapy that strengthens your brain against Alzheimer's pathology.
Sounds amazing. I want to strengthen my brain. Is it just me? I've been reading and writing about a lot of folks in the Alzheimer's Moonshot community. It feels like there is this energy and inflection point happening around non-invasive ways to understand brain health, whether you're doing electrical stimulation, whether there's sound, there's light. Are we at a special moment in time in terms of understanding brain function?
Logan, we're decoding the brain. Non-invasive or invasive, there's many ways now to read the signals coming off the brain. You look at what Neuralink is doing and other BCI companies, they're reading the signals from the brain with an invasive implant. We're totally non-invasive. We're reading the signals from the brain by pulsing the brain with energy and then listening with 64-channel EEG. That's really complex data, which is enabling us to see what's going on with that patient's networks that drive human memory and other aspects of the disease pathology. So we're entering a world in which we really can take a data-driven approach to personalized therapy, diagnostics, and monitoring of Alzheimer's. Yes, it is an inflection point for the field.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. Okay, so obviously with a product like yours, evidence is everything. So tell me, I understand that you've been doing some studies that are pivotal for your work, and maybe even there's something new that's come out since our last conversation. So what's up?
Well, that word pivotal usually means phase 3. We do have phase 2 data. Our first phase 2 was at 6 months, and it tracked about 50 patients to 6 months of our therapy, so weekly therapy for 6 months. And what we found, and this is published in a major journal, is that we slowed the disease over all the key relevant endpoints in cognition and function at 6 months. So that's been published, that data is out there. Now we have, and by the time this is released, we will have shared from the podium 12-month data on the same therapy, now with 48 patients in another phase 2 study, which also shows that we hit the primary endpoint and all key secondary endpoints, cognition, function, and behavior. So you think about, the number of failures that we've seen over the last 20 years, just failure after failure after failure. When was the last time you saw a press release that showed that the therapy hit the primary endpoint and all key secondary endpoints without exception?
Wow.
And this is all with a non-invasive weekly therapies, 20 minutes a week. Patient sits back in a recliner. They can keep their eyes open. They can talk to the technician. And they don't feel anything. It's just a tapping sound that they hear.
Yeah.
So 20 minutes a week for 52 weeks is what we did in our phase 2 study. And the results are very, very promising.
When people think about therapies right now, I think in 2024, they think about a couple of drugs that are coming online and some big announcements made around their pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
Let's dig a little bit more into the importance of this non-invasive piece, because these drugs come with some side effects.
They do, and they represent new hope for patients. So I don't want to downplay that because there's been nothing.
Yeah.
Now, these are milder patients that take the anti-amyloid drugs, and there is a statistically significant effect with the amyloid drugs, but they do come with a host of side effects. So-called ARIA, which is brain swelling and brain bleeding, which requires an MRI to monitor your brain to make sure you're not experiencing these side effects. The side effects with our therapy are a mild headache that occurs in 12% of patients, which spontaneously resolves. There's also a side effect of scalp discomfort, especially where we stimulate on the scalp. That resolves spontaneously, and that's in about 16% of patients. But overall, when you think about it, and the invasiveness of the therapy being so minimal, it's really a low side effect profile overall for patients.
How is the market responding to this?
I mean, a lot of excitement. Yeah, this 12-month data is really a turning point for the therapy. Now, we're a non-drug therapy. We're a neuromodulation therapy. We're using electrical energy to stimulate the brain and strengthen the brain. This is not what people are expecting.
Yeah.
They're expecting a pill or an infusion or an injection. So to see a neuromodulation therapy achieve this kind of results, and let me just emphasize, it's the consistency of the results.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of therapies out there, drug or device, where there's some endpoints that are met and other endpoints that are missed. When you look at our therapy, we hit all the endpoints: cognition, function, and behavior. Let me put that into context for you. So cognition's important, right? Thinking ability in Alzheimer's, but function is arguably more important. So the ability to feed yourself, brush your teeth, bathe yourself, travel, use a telephone, all of these functions are arguably really important, not only to the patient, but also the caregiver.
Yeah.
So listen to this. In our 12-month data, we showed that the active arm, the arm that was getting the stimulation, barely progressed on measures of functionality. So where they were at time 0 versus at 52 weeks, they had barely lost any function. This is an enormous benefit for caregivers because this could mean these patients could live independently for years more than they otherwise would have done without the therapy. So put another way, we're buying patients potentially years of additional quality life for the patient and for the caregiver.
Are you finding that the market in general you said there's a lot of excitement, and I'm just wondering about sort of the level of healthy skepticism about kind of what's new and what's next. Are you having to fight against a tide, or is there a welcome, like, we want this in the market?
There's starting to be an appreciation that we need to go beyond amyloid.
Okay.
Amyloid is a really important piece of the puzzle. We understand that, but it's not the only piece.
I guess I'm trying to get at, like, the culture of innovation within the Alzheimer's community.
Oh, there's an embrace. Yeah, there's an embracing of new approaches. There's a little bit of healthy skepticism, but now we have 2 phase 2 results, and there are other companies out there using device-based approaches, which have some really interesting data. I think the tide's starting to turn, and we're starting to look beyond even the drug landscape into new device approaches. By the way, they're all complementary with drugs,
Right?
because there's no downside to using a device. So why not combine it with a drug? I think that's the way of the future. We will prove that our therapy works by itself, no doubt, and then when combined with a drug, maybe an anti-amyloid therapy, maybe something else, we could potentially see synergistic effects that could slow this disease to a halt. So yes, the market and the industry is starting to embrace new approaches because we know it's going to take a multimodal approach to solving this problem.
So with these great results that will be out by the time this goes live, what is next? What do you see as the roadmap for the next 12 months?
So we are laying a strong foundation with this data to move forward into a pivotal study. So the phase 3 study is designed for multiple sites in the US and in Europe. It will start in 2025. We are doing everything we can to prepare for that study. There's a lot of excitement. And again, the phase 2 study that we will have just announced is a really strong foundation to move forward. Secondly, is we need to explore our therapy in earlier Alzheimer's.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense to wait till you have stage 3 cancer before you attack the cancer. You want to get to it as early as possible. So we've now initiated a multi-center phase 2 study in Italy studying early Alzheimer's, so-called MCI, mild cognitive impairment.
Yeah.
So we'll be pursuing our therapy in that earlier population as well.
And you have that Italy connection, I understand, because the originators of some of this science, right, are from Italy?
Yeah, Giacomo's, he's been in Rome doing all of these studies for the past 15 years, and he's at the Santa Lucia Foundation in Rome, which is a major neurodegenerative center.
Yeah.
Been there since 1960. It's a great benefit to be able to work with the Santa Lucia Foundation because he can do studies quickly and efficiently at his center there. So we're lucky to have that Italian piece. I would also note the name of the company is SIN, which means without, and Aptica means touch. So without touch, no touch, non-invasive therapy. That's where the name comes from.
I love it. Well, you're building towards this exciting future where even someone like myself, without symptoms could go in and have my brain, but my memory improved.
Yes.
It's an exciting future. So Ken, I appreciate the work you're doing, appreciate the update, and we're going to be watching closely for the next 12 months.
All right. Thanks so much. Great.